All right, folks, we're gonna get started tonight. We have such a big crowd. All right, I'd like to call to order the October meeting of the Windsor Township Board of Supervisors. Before we start, I'd like to invite everybody to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So I guess all you folks are here for a reason tonight.
Doesn't everyone know the Phillies are on tonight?
Trump's in town.
They are, okay.
Oh,
I'm not a voter case yet. We don't know who's in it.
All right, let's move on. Can someone make a motion to approve the minutes of the September 11th board?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second? All in favor say aye. Aye. Ayes have it. All right, at this time, we are going to talk about the decision or the opinion for Mountain Trail Solar, and I'm going to turn the meeting over to Melissa Farby, our solicitor, for this section.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. We don't have microphones in this room, but I think you can probably all hear me. What we are going to do is we're going to announce the decision. I'm going to phrase a motion for the board, and then I will then read the decision, not the opinion, but the decision for them to affirm. The question before the board this evening is whether to approve the conditional use application that was filed by Mountain Trail Solar LLC and Leeward Renewable Energy Development LLC. And before the board votes, I'm going to ask everyone, whether you agree or don't agree with the decision, please hold your emotion. We don't want to have, applause or booing, whatever the case may be. And so I will ask the board if they will entertain that motion, and we'll vote.
I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Say it again, I was restless.
So the question before the board is whether the board votes to approve the conditional use application that was filed by Mountain Trail Solar LLC and Leeward Renewable Energy Development LLC.
Okay, you made the motion.
I'll make the motion. Do I have a second?
Well, the second is to present the motion. So now you need to, there needs to be a vote.
Okay, well, I'll second it and present the.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it.
Okay, let's try again.
He just wants to say, don't say yay or nay.
Okay. Mr. Mazeka, how do you vote on the application for the conditional use application that was filed by Mountain Trail Solar LLC and Leeward Renewable Energy Development LLC?
My vote is in favor of the project.
Mr. Davis, how do you vote?
I am denying the project, and I have some notes I'd like to read.
Okay, just in one moment. Mr. Long, how do you vote? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Is it the decision of the board as follows, and now this last day, October 2024, the Board of Supervisors of Windsor Township, Berks County, Pennsylvania, upon review and consideration of the evidence as presented at the conditional use hearing in this matter, in light of the existing laws and regulations, hereby denies the conditional use application of Mountain Trail Solar LLC and Leeward Renewable Energy Development LLC. The decision is by a vote of 2-1. Is that your decision, Mr. Mazeka?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Okay, now if any members of the board have comments they'd like to make, now would be the appropriate time for that.
Okay. I appreciate the offer to do that. I have just a few things I want to say here. My duty as Township Supervisor. Pardon?
Yeah, speak up louder.
My duty as Township Supervisor in this case is determine if the applicant meets the requirements in the ordinance. Solar is a permitted use in the township, but the developer must comply with the ordinance that has been adopted and in place for many years now. After listening to both parties, applicant and objectors, Then comparing our ordinance to their testimony, it's my decision that the applicant did not meet the requirements set forth in the ordinance. Here are a few examples that I'd like to cite, which is also in the decision that Russell has put together. Number 1, section 615N, glare. Applicant testified the glare would be on public highways and also on adjoining properties, so much that the applicant testified that they offered each adjoining property owner $5,000 for trees or barriers to shield them from the glare. Number 2, section 615 for height. No part of the solar system or support structure can be higher than 20 feet. The applicant testified the substation would be higher than 20 feet and they were not going to address the height issue. Number 3, section 201, applicant status. Leeward Renewable Energy Development entered into option contracts with property owners in the township, but Mountain Trail Solar made an application for conditional use. The ordinance requires the person or entities applying for a conditional use to be landowners or developer. Thus, at the time of the application, Mountain Trail Solar did not have standing. Number 4, section 403. The ordinance states that we need to protect productive agricultural soils for future agricultural use. This project would use a large tract of land, 440 acres, and class 2 and 3 soils, which according to the USDA should be avoided for grid scale solar. Given the significant size and types of the soils, this project is not consistent with the spirit and intent of the agricultural zoning districts. For these reasons and others described in the decision, the applicant does not meet the requirements and their application is denied.
Mr. Mazeka, do you have any comments?
The only thing that I'd like to say is just to inform the public of where this could possibly go from here. The applicant has the right to appeal this decision to the Court of Common Pleas of Berks County, and which is going to put the township in a position where if the judge would side with the applicant, at that point they may be able to put this solar farm in without any conditions being applied by the township. So this is a risk that's going to be taken by the township as far as denying this application. And after the Berks County Court of Common Pleas, they also have the right to appeal it to the state of Pennsylvania.
Commonwealth Court.
Commonwealth Court. Okay, so that's where we stand with this. It's not the end of the game. It's up to the applicant where they want to go with this, and we'll see what happens.
Mr. Long, do you have any comments?
The only comment, there really isn't much you can say about specifics as to what Mr. Davis has already said. The only thing I want to add to that is back in 2018, when we adopted the ordinance in the first place, I firmly believe that projects like this are not appropriate in agricultural land. So I'm just sticking as far as what I believed. At that time, I voted no, because I think it's not appropriate in ag land, period. I am a small farmer, and I think that it's just not appropriate. It's not an agricultural product. You know, so other than the specifics that Mr. Davis outlined, I definitely, we can see from the turmoil that it has caused in the township, you know, what things like this do.
All right, so at this point, we can go off the record. We have, the decision's been announced. I do have a couple of conformed copies of the decision. If you were a party, I'm more than willing to give you a copy. You will also be mailed copies, you know, as per the law. But I'm sure you are looking forward to reading it as much as I looked forward to writing it. But so if there are any parties, I'm sure, Mr. Gallagher, you'd like to see what's in here. There are some copies here. told you it would be fast tonight. I just didn't anticipate a former president visiting the region.
I had no idea.
Get out of town. He's going to the west.
Yeah, I really just.
Nice seeing you.
You too, take care. Bye.
All right, we have the rest of the meeting to get through tonight, so we'll keep this thing moving. We're going to public comment. We have one person signed in for public comment, Bobby Seidel.
I'd like to know when the township will start painting macadam roads with the yellow line to be made.
We do that, well,
We are waiting for the line painters. We send in May 5th, we send in our request to the county to get on the county purchasing. So I was in contact with them 2 weeks ago. They are on behind because they had truck issues. So it's not guaranteed it's gonna get painted this year. But
Painted last year either.
we don't paint, when we oil and chip, we wait a year to oil and chip, after the oil and chip to paint. So we are on the schedule, but we're waiting on that. But it don't look, unless the weather holds until November, December, we probably won't get them painted this year. But we put it out for bid, and we don't have the equipment to do it, so we're at the mercy of everybody else.
But it's a safety issue when it gets foggy. That yellow line is nice to have and we don't have that.
Well, I guess we're gonna have to buy the equipment to do it ourselves, because we put the bid out, we're at the mercy of everybody else. If their machines break down and can't get to us, I guess we gotta buy our own machine and paint our own roads, I guess.
and a lot of
Yeah.
times it has gone into November when they came in to paint, because they do an area when they come in. Did you have a comment?
Could I sign in? I was missed it, the paper wasn't up there in person.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Quick question.
I moved it over there, sorry.
And you have the floor then.
Oh,
Is that it, Bobby?
When was the last time you had lines painted in the township? What
Last year they
No,
were here.
you didn't last year.
No, we did not paint all the roads last year, but they were here last year, October 5th, and painted. The
Where?
roads we oiled and chipped the year before.
Where?
They went on, yeah, It was- no, it was Woodland, Dunn, Kohler Hill, Fox Lane, Drive Abyss Mill. It was that section over there. Because that's what we oiled and chipped the year before. Because they were here
Anything else?
October 5th of last year.
Anything else?
No.
All right, thank you. All right, Mike Paul
Helmet.
Helena.
Yes,
I should have let Russell handle it.
I never got it right in 19 hearings, so.
One question, is anything from the potential cement facility going to be discussed tonight? That's one question. And the other statements I've got, I think they're preparing for it on the property across the street from us. And we're kind of a little frustrated with as late as they're running equipment. And again, what are noise ordinances, updated at 8 p.m. And also the dust has been kicked up. And I've noticed also there's no proper those rolls to stop runoff.
So fast.
Yeah, the silt fence is either into the pond or the stream that goes through our property or up onto 22. So I don't know, where those are, where those should be.
I do have something in my report for this evening on that.
Okay.
Not on the silt fences or anything,
Right,
but
right.
on the status of the project.
Okay. You're gonna do that in solicitor?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll
If they
get to it in a
could
minute.
address those other things,
Yeah.
just
Okay.
questions of mine.
All right. That all yet?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll go into the reports of financial status.
Okay. Very briefly, if you have a handout, as far as revenue received by the township, by far the greatest amount of income comes from the earned income tax. You notice that, compare that to the 0.3 mils with the real estate tax. Obviously, there's no comparison with that. You can note then in all accounts at the bottom of the page, total revenue received in all accounts at this time is $776,929.76. The last page shows the expenditures as of this evening. Of course, we take notice that the expenditures for all of the road work will be approved tonight, so they're not shown on these numbers. So of course, the line items as far as road work, projects 438, maintenance and new construction, those will be considerably more next month. At this point, total expenditures $611,375.11. Anyone board have questions concerning revenues at this point or expenditures?
Haven't seen?
No, I don't have anything.
Nope. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, engineer, zoning officer,
Okay,
Stevens.
I handed out a packet to each of you, which you have. So inside that packet is the SEO report, the zoning and building reports. Now that LTL is no longer your zoning officer, the code officer, we're now officially doing monthly reports for you. So that will continue. And going into old business, in your packet, you also have a payment application cover letter for AMS, which is the seal coat. And so I'm looking for authorization to pay AMS for their contract in the amount of $299,131.82. So I would need a motion to that effect.
Any comment on that request?
No, that's just the chip coat.
That's the seal coat.
Yeah.
We've got
Yep.
the-
That's
And
for all
the
the work
slurry.
they did,
So
yeah.
it's-
Yep, that's the whole
What
contract.
we call maintenance, right?
Yep. I'll make that motion that we pay that amount to AMS. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay. Also, under old business, in the packet, you have two items. One first is the change order, and this is for the Pine Street culvert. It's a deduct of $230.42, but we'll take a deduct where we can get it. So we need to do the deduct change order first before you do the final payout to H&K.
And what's the credit for?
It's for, I'm not quite sure. There was some quantity that wasn't used. I don't have it here, but it would be reflected on the payout. So if you go into the payout,
What does that have to do with the guardrails?
no, the guardrails were done incorrectly by them.
What page are you on?
The last page,
Last page.
yeah, the last page.
I don't know, Steve.
Yeah, it will look like this, Jerry.
That's what I'm looking for.
Now keep going. After the change order. One more.
Right
There
here.
you go, yeah, last page. Should be the change order, and it's showing a deduct balance of $230.42. in total amount, column C. So you can,
It's not on that sheet.
I think what he's asking is what it's attributable to, and I don't
Yeah.
think it's clear.
That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
right, in the, here, I'll show you, in this column here, you can see all the differences, like the
Oh,
quantities, what
oh,
were
it's a
used.
host of different things.
Yeah, so it's a host of different
Oh,
things, so
okay.
the summation of that is a deduct.
Gotcha, I thought there was one specific.
No, there's not
Okay,
one
okay.
specific, that's why I was drawing a blank, because
Okay,
it's like, I
gotcha.
can't really say.
That's okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so again, I'm
Thank you.
looking for a motion for,
I'll make that motion that we approve that change order of $230.42 to the contract price. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
all right, now we'll get to the final payment to H&K, and that would include the change order deduct, and that amount would be $185,677.00. But this would be conditioned on the receipt of all of the acceptable closeout documents. We did not get them all yet. So we don't want the check to be mailed until we get those. Part of the documents came this evening, and I would need Mr. Long to sign that. It's called a notice of completion report that I popped somewhere up in the front of you there. You'll see the the PennDOT form to sign. So this motion, though, will be conditional, unlike AMS. AMS got all their paperwork to us.
Someone like to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
So after the meeting, then, when he's signing it now, we can have all that signed.
Just comment here, if you don't mind. The funds for this project is, am I correct, was the COVID money
Right.
that you received
The
years ago while COVID was going on?
Okay, the idea, what we had discussed previously, we had received $240-some thousand from the government for the American Rescue Plan. Now, the total amount is $270-some thousand.
With it, because of the interest.
Right. And the idea would be to totally expend that. By law, we had to have that money delegated for some use
Mhm.
by this coming April.
Mhm.
And what we have done is the work, some of the road work that we're just authorizing to be paid, will totally expend the
Sure.
the
Okay.
American Rescue Fund money.
And liquid fuels.
There was a flip-flop of
There was a
money.
flip-flop and a very, very small amount that would come out of general fund.
Okay?
All right, so that's that. May I continue on to new business, or do you want me to hold?
I have a zoning concern. Were you gonna talk about that at 450 Creek Lane?
Is that the
Get us
one on
up
the
to date on
floodplain?
that?
Yes.
At the house that got built?
That's the one that in this report here.
Yep.
Okay, this is the one that was built in the floodplain without a permit. So there's a notice of violation that's been sent. The homeowner is scheduled zoning to look at it, but it's in the floodplain, which is a basic major violation. That's just not good. And without a permit, again, is a double whammy. So we're waiting to hear more. But yeah, we're on top of it. So, do you have anything to add?
I don't.
Okay. So we're not quite sure of what's going to be the outcome, but in
Is the home built?
Yeah,
Is it built?
yeah, it's built. So what he has to do, I don't know if it's a zone A or a zone AE. If it's a zone A, that's one a little bit easier to navigate. He would have to, that's why the last statement here needs to submit engineering and survey plans to relay that he's not, his floor elevations are not below the flood elevation. So he's got a lot of homework to do in order to have that home stay. If not, if he doesn't comply, we can contact FEMA and FEMA and get them involved, because this is not permitted. So Russell is Ryan's on top of it, and but that's why the statement is engineering and survey plans. So the home may need to be moved.
Yeah.
We don't know yet.
Yeah, they took that chance on their own.
Without a permit, correct, and again, in the floodplain too. So, Is that what you needed answered tonight?
Yeah, that's just where, was curious as to where it was at.
Yeah, that's where it's at.
Okay. Any other comment? Do the rest of yours in old business or?
Under new business,
New
yes.
business?
That was all the old business that I had, correct.
All right,
Okay?
all right, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, transmission lines. Ryan's also working on that with that's the Baldy substation 69 kilovolt rebuild. Remember, we got new plans, so that's moving along nicely, but we still need to make sure that they are accessing our roads without harming them. Okay?
And did you have any other comment on that?
Well,
Did you?
Ryan and I have had some emails back and forth about this as well, because there's going to need to be an escrow account set up at the township to cover engineering fees and whatnot. So we're in the process of getting that set up.
Actually, I do have a comment on this.
As well as a bond, I think they
Yeah,
need to
they're-
float.
They're gonna need a bond.
Mhm.
So we're going to do this, what about the property owners that could be affected and suffer damage? That bond is
That's what the bond is for.
for the property or for the township roads?
It's for township roads.
Okay.
But he's asking.
But
for-
there's no way, there's nothing that we can do to help protect the residents from their own property damage. I'm not saying we should get involved, I'm saying, is there something,
They'd have to do separate agreements. Yeah, I agree with you.
each property owner do separate
They'd have to
agreements
do,
with? Okay.
right, and we can facilitate that occurring. But we don't want to, it becomes a private issue, and we don't want to go too far, but I think that we can certainly facilitate that.
Encourage them to do
Encourage
that.
them to do it. And we can make it make a condition of us approving.
Can we provide some templates of agreements for property owners? Because the reason I ask this is because I've heard a farmer had suffered crop damage from this group before, and he still hasn't been paid for it. And this individual's farming some land that this transmission line's on, and they're gonna be going through this again. And of course, I think Ben said they're gonna try to do this in the wintertime, but of course, it's gonna run into spring and summer before it's all done, so it's not our obligation, but if we can help facilitate some help here maybe, if you're doing that.
We can help create the opportunity for this to occur. I would hesitate to provide templates, because the moment something goes wrong, someone's going to blame the template, and then that's gonna be township
You.
liability.
That's gonna be you. All right, I'll let that go. We need a laugh tonight, right?
What I have done before is, like you were saying, a condition that we have copies of everybody's
Mhm.
agreements.
Right.
We're not doing anything with them, but we have check Mr. Smith, check Mr. Jones. We have copies of all of that
Okay.
on record, and so that then helps. It doesn't pull us in.
Right.
It just says, hey, we're putting you on notice that we really want to protect everybody, the township and our residents.
Okay.
And here's what we want.
Yeah, I
And
don't think it's our
a reasonable
responsibility, but I
condition.
just,
Yeah,
It's a reasonable
it is a
condition.
reasonable condition, but it is not our obligation. Now, to the extent that there's someone who's owed money from another project.
and that's not our problem. No.
Yeah, it's
No,
nothing we
I
can
know
do about
I
it,
know that.
but I certainly think that we want to require that those agreements be entered into, or that if a homeowner decides not to, we want some written statement they're opting not to.
Right.
So that we have that in our file.
Okay, that's all.
Well, now, just remember too, most of this is in their right of way. So if they come off the right of way, yeah, that is a big issue, but if they're in their right of way,
Yeah.
can we really say anything about damage? Because did they get permission to plant their crop or whatever in their right of way?
Right,
Yeah.
right, if it's in the
So-
right of way, there's nothing that we can do or that the homeowner can do.
You know,
Because they have a right
Now,
to
now,
do
if they come out of their right of way, if something happens outside, yeah, but
Right.
most of this work is supposed to stay in their right of way, so.
Supposed to.
Yeah,
It's
well, I
always
said,
supposed
if
to.
it comes off, then it's a different thing, but, you know, so,
Somebody say something?
No, it was a cell phone.
it didn't like, Siri didn't like that answer.
Okay, that sounds, thank you.
Now I'm sorry, now I'm done.
Any other comment? On that? No. All right, thank you. All right, the fire service report. Jared?
Alright, so we are at 623 calls for the year. As everybody knows, October is Fire Prevention Month, so we have crews handling multiple fire prevention details in all the schools, education facilities, fairs, festivals, and other events that are going on. So we've been actively working through that. We've also sent out our annual fund drive fundraiser. Has been out as a mailer for everybody, so any contributions that can help benefit the company and your financial support, we appreciate. And we included that, just an update on where some projects are, where we're going with things this year. We're right now have our quarterly meat ticket sale going on. If anybody's interested, it's a chance, $10 a ticket for 3 numbers off the PA lottery. You get a chance to win about a $600 meat package from Marlin Meats up in School County. Pretty good package deal for everybody for $10. So we're selling those. For the date for that to run off will be October 31st off the PA lottery. So it's one of the fundraisers that we're doing, and also the number above and below is going to get $100. So it's a chance to win 3 ways. Stop in on a Tuesday night. I have tickets here if anybody would like any, and we can hand them out. So tonight I'm here to ask support from the township for a recommendation letter. For those that don't know, we're in the process of replacing our 1986 Han Rescue that served the community for 35 plus years with a very high cost that is, what did I say, engine? It's our rescue, I'm sorry. But we're going to be converting that from a strictly dry rescue truck to now a wet rescue. So we're going to be consolidating apparatus with the expenses and the manpower. It's part of our plan that we've initiated within the last year with the municipalities on where the future of the fire service is going. But at a astounding cost of $1.5 million that none of us were expected to hit. So we're seeking a USDA loan for funding, and we need letters of support from the municipalities. We have one from Hamburg that's going to be forthcoming. Scott Thren, my deputy chief and treasurer, he's over at Tilden, requesting from them a letter, a conditional letter just of supporting the project, and we're here to ask if Windsor would do so as part of the loan application that we're applying for. So that's one request. And then also, if everybody's aware, we know that the field house has kind of been sitting stagnant recently. We are going to be having an announcement that's going to be forthcoming next week. Just an update, we are going to be going back into a light rental program. The field house is also a fundraiser that we've always used for fundraising. So we're going to be announcing just the start back up in 25 of the field house. So if there's anybody that's interested in passing that message along, please feel free to email us at the field house email address that we have set up, and we're going to start with the fee schedules and the rebooking of events on a smaller capacity due to the lot restrictions that are out there with our other long-term rentals. So it's always been a fundraising aspect for us, and our original plan that would have generated double the amount of funds that we originally were making kind of fell through. So we're just looking at a way to streamline financing and the future of the fire company here to the residents. So I provided the reference letter, just it's a standard stock letter. So just here to seek support of that from the township.
With this USDA loan, it is strictly a loan, it's not a grant.
Correct. Yeah, it's a loan. So we're going to be utilizing the funds that the township have been putting into the accounts for the savings, the capital expense program, that'll all be used towards it. And then the same with the other municipalities, they're all kicking in, a funding plan for the purchase. We have to contribute payments schedules as well with our general fund drive letter, so it's a 4-way process in order to make the payments. So.
Have any grants been applied for this unit?
So we have looked at it. We're in the process of looking to see what grants are eligible. The problem is they're not permitting some of the grant funding to be used for another loan to pay a loan. So we're seeing that, but we're in the process of working through some equipment grants that are out there through USDA and some other funding applications, the CDC grant. But there are regulations on what funds can be used to pay. You can't take a grant fund to pay on some loans, so we're trying to work through that with our grant writers to make sure that we're doing it so we don't jeopardize the funding of the project. So it's also about 2.5 years from the time that the order's placed till it comes. So this is gonna be an ongoing monthly investment in this project for everybody, so.
You got ready to comment on it?
No, I'll be honest, I haven't had enough time to really review all the documents that were sent, but I think at this point, it's just a general request for support for the application. I think that when it comes to, I think part of the request is for the township to guarantee the loan. I think that's gonna be we're gonna have to do a bit of a deeper dive on that. But I think that generally supporting the concept is consistent with the memorandum of understanding that we entered into.
And we understand that concern. It's just unfortunately with the amount that's being requested for financing, the government wants to know how they're getting their funds back. So we have no anticipation of ever skipping on the loan payments or anything, but it's that guarantee because of the dollar amount being requested in funding that they're looking for their funding guarantee, as they say.
What kind of term are you looking for, year-wise?
I think Scott had it as 20 years in the finance plan. We're gonna apply for debt reduction through the State Fire Academy that we get every year. So there's other funding, things that we're gonna be looking at putting towards the project for the 20-year plan. So it's about a 20-year loan.
What's the lifespan on the unit?
They used to say when it was hung, it would live forever. The reality of it is we've been looking at used apparatus in case this program wouldn't work or go through. For used apparatus in the late 90s, you're still looking at $600,000, $700,000. So our plan is to go off the recommendation of the time frame that Rob had in his study and the safety study we had. So we're looking at about that 15-year mark to try to look at starting to turn apparatus over.
Would USDA be applicable to a used unit? Or
No,
they require
it's required.
Gotta be a new
It's
unit.
required, yep.
So-
You can't use it for pre-owned equipment.
So when you say the turnover in 15 years, but the loan is for 20 years.
Correct. We're hoping that with the funding allotments that we're getting, that we can try to get with the debt reduction that the state's coming back and we try to get it paid off sooner.
Okay.
So that's our ultimate goal, like any loan that you take, then we're gonna make every reasonable, effort to make sure that we do that or to get it paid off sooner with the interest rates. So.
Any other comment? And we'll just do that as a resolution, I would assume,
Yeah, I don't. Again,
whenever if you have it.
I don't have it tonight.
No, I realize that.
But I mean, you can approve the letter of support, and then I can draft a resolution that you can sign next month, but it will be backdated to this month, as long as you vote on it tonight. Because I'm assuming that you need that sooner than later.
By the end of the month at the latest,
Right.
as Scott said, so.
All right, someone make that motion?
Before we do that, I just wanted to clear one thing, I'm sorry, Dave. We made a commitment several months ago to fund the fire company for a 5-year program. Those funds are going, if this gets all approved and goes through, those funds are going directly for that apparatus.
Yes, it'll be towards the down payment,
Right.
yes, yeah.
But it's a contribution each year for
Mhm.
5 years. It would go through the down payment this year, but it'll be a payment. for
It'll be
following.
the time whenever we sign the contract for the purchase, then.
Right, so if it's 2 years from now, the truck arrives, that's the down payment, but the additional 3 years would go toward
Yes.
yearly payments.
Yeah, the yearly payments.
Right, okay. So there's
we would
already,
have-
there's
yeah,
already
we
a
have it
plan
done.
in place
Yeah.
to some degree.
Yeah, the only real difference here is that the township is going to be asked to guarantee the loan.
Right.
And it's not as easy with a public entity. You can't just say, oh yeah, we guarantee it. I mean, there's a whole process you have to go through.
And also, it would be, the way we had it, I believe it was split 3 ways in that email that I had sent you. So Tillman will have a share, Hamburg will have a share, Windsor will have a share of what that value is. So it won't be the full amount, it'll be split 3 ways.
Right, it won't be the full amount. But I do think that we still have to go through that process.
Of course, yeah, and we're aware of that, and we understand that we were not expecting that part of it in the application, it's a new part that they added in, so.
Right.
Any other comment?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we follow through with a letter approving, the USDA loan.
Well,
Second.
A letter of support.
Letter of support.
yeah.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Is that all you have, Jared?
That's it,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
I apologize, I have to sneak out here
Yep.
for the community events.
All right, next up, Roadmaster. Yeah, Ben.
All right, at the end of beginning of last month, H&K finished Pine Street up, so that's all nice and new. We went and AMS also was in last month and finished Edinburgh with the slurry. We got all our blacktopping of the pipes done, so our major work and non-major work is done and taken care of. So that's pretty much for getting ready for winter now. So, truck 6, which is the 550, that goes in for inspection this month. That's gonna be later this month, it's gonna go in. The truck 8 is next month, the pickup, that's in November. I took the wheel horse riding mower to the auction last month, I got $600 for it.
Wow.
So that was pretty good for that. One thing I do ask if we can do, I know it's been a number of years, but we had a lot of new people move into the township these last 2 years. We can send out the snowplow policies again. So, just because I know last year we didn't get that much snow, but there was a lot of people that forgot what to do and stuff. So they were parked on the road, they were parked in the way, they didn't move their campers. So,
Do we have that on the website, you think?
No.
It may not be.
We should get it on the website, but
Yeah.
it's probably not a bad idea to do.
Yeah, I don't
to do a
remember
mailing.
seeing it.
because I know it's been a number of years since it was put out. So,
In big bold letters.
Yeah.
but that's all I have.
How are we making out with the steering on those trucks?
The Freightliner is down at Berman, they're waiting for a steering shaft. It requires a new steering box because the valve is stuck inside, they couldn't get it freed up. So that's that issue. I didn't send the international one yet because I don't want to be out of the truck if something happens. So once that comes back, then the international's gonna go out to Louisville.
Did you have a chance to check that pitman arm to see if the teeth were wore at all? Because there's a good YouTube video on how to check it. You know, it's just it takes 2 people to do it. Just before it goes there, because I had talked to Gene Schlegel about it, and he said that was a big culprit, and there's a bushing at the top and the bottom of the inner shaft of the gearbox that are known to wear out.
Well, that has a new box on it.
Okay,
So
was the pitman arm changed?
I think it was also.
Well,
I know
check it
there
out.
was multiple things changed on that truck. I have to actually look,
Yeah, you guys went through the bills and
yeah,
found what was done.
so, yeah, they're on my desk to get called in, and then I was gonna tell them what was all changed, because that's what I did with Berman. So they said that was good, because at least they knew where to start.
Mhm.
They narrowed down the search. So,
All right, any other comment?
Yeah.
No? Jared? No? All right, thank you. All right, on to the park. Roger,
Yes,
long time no see.
I haven't been here in a while.
Yeah.
It's Parks, end of the year. I guess Ben's gonna be winterizing it, and we're done with rentals. We had 24 park rentals last year with an income of $2,575. And, but there are some changes the township needs to know. The following individuals will no longer be cleaning the park for rentals. Michelle Woodland, Fatima Stufflet, and Douglas Stufflet. They are all packed out. As a matter of fact, Michelle got another job. And Fatima, she couldn't do it. She works Saturdays. It was a mess. So she agreed, yes, she wants to give it up, and Douglas wants to give it up. And the next thing is, my wife wrote this up. It says, Roger Coons is ready to resign as a park renter. I'm Roger Coons. But listen, the township will need to find a replacement for me as well. But this last sentence I will hold true to. However, I am willing to stay on for 2025 if needed to help the next person taking the rental over. It's not real hard, but you got to stay on top of it. I'm getting old, you know. I forget what I had for breakfast. So, you know. But anyway, that's a fact. I'll stay on another year, but
Do you have stuff coming in for next year already?
no. But I have to.
I know you have some early,
I
some
have to get my
rollovers.
2025 calendar ready now,
Yeah,
because if I don't, they're going to start calling, and if I don't have a 2025 calendar, I can double book. I've never done it. In 10 years, I've never done it. But it's easily done.
yeah, you've done a good job for us all these years, and I appreciate
And
it.
here, I have, the following are repairs and upkeep for the park. Number one, look into new picnic tables. Number two, some kind of ceiling covering to keep the birds out under the pavilion. Number three, a new sliding door between kitchen and storage area. Number four, the kitchen needs painting inside there. Somebody destroyed the volleyball net early on in the spring. I went and zip tied it all up, and you can use it.
We can just
I
get,
don't know who did it, but they must have hung on it.
they're not that expensive.
Well, we should look into that. The new bathroom doors is a blessing. Thank you for getting that done. They need painting because that primer that's on there, it's going to rust through real quick.
Yep.
Carpenter bees are damaging the pavilion and weakening the structure. If you look at the pavilion from out in the yard, look at the pavilion. You got an overhang about 4 foot before the main beam. They didn't go under the carpenter bees. They got 60, 70, 80 holes drilled into the 2x4 struts. They're weakening that hangover. Again, when we put something, you know, we got to put something small enough to keep those carpenter bees and go all the way out to the end when we put something on the ceiling.
Well, we had talked about having somebody come in, or whoever you wanted to get, come in and do some spraying of the.
I'm hard of hearing.
We had talked about having someone come in, so in springtime,
Okay.
to do spraying in the ball field and that stuff, and while they're there, just have them look at that right away.
Yeah, we got to do something. It's a mess. If you go up there right now, the Berks has it a mess. And then we have the stage door, the metal stage door, that I guess it was the changing room for Crazy Elmer to go back there and change. That's what I remember of it. The skin is coming off on the front side, and it's a safety hazard for kids, because I do see kids up there playing on the stage and stuff. I don't want to see them get cut. The blacktop is pulling away from the blocks underneath the pavilion, where the kitchen is. At the bottom where the blacktop meets the, the wall on the west side. It's been moving. It's about that wide now and goes about 10 feet in before it's back against the blocks again. I talked to Ben earlier, and he said maybe we could put some tar in there. The rain gutter and spouting, we should put it, if you notice where the bathrooms were put on, there's no mold on the bottom of those blocks, this high. They have rain gutters out there with a downspout from the electric meter all the way down to the gas tank, the propane tank. Don't have no spotting on.
Yeah.
And that's where we had the mold growing on the bottom of the blocks, about 4 or 5 layers high on the block. So I gave each one of you a copy, and she put on her respectfully submitted, Roger Coons. So that means a lot.
Here you are.
That's all I had.
All right, well, like I said, I appreciate everything you've done for us over the years and that stuff.
Yeah.
We'll
And we'll
give
see
that
what
guy next
happens.
to you a nudge, maybe he can,
I'm sorry.
give that guy next to you a nudge. He's retired.
You want to do the rental? It's easy. You don't hardly have to do anything. Okay, that's all I have. And any questions for me?
I do have a question for you, Roger.
Uh,
So your report shows that we're generating $2,600 a year for this project, for the.
Yeah,
park,
these
okay?
are the reports for the
And-
last,
Right,
since 2014, since I took it over. That's,
and you're recommending $10,000 to $20,000 in repairs, okay? And the township probably has some obligation
Could be.
to, some obligation to provide a park for the community, but my question is, if we made these repairs,
Mhm.
you've done this for all these years, I don't know, I'm asking.
Yeah. We
If
can,
if we made these repairs, is it unreasonable to ask a little more for rent?
well, you know what?
I mean, what, are we?
That's up to the board here.
Well, no, but are we too cheap?
I was told by renters that, well, that's cheap. I was told that, and 10 years I have it, it's $50 for the pavilion and bathroom, $125 for the pavilion, bathroom, and kitchen. It's been that for 10 years.
Has the baseball teams been contributing any since they've been using the bathrooms
No,
up
but
there?
they're contributing to me as they spoke to me about the baseball and the field, and when they want it was, they will maintain that. The building, the concession stand,
Yeah.
and the field for us letting them use it.
What do they maintain on the field?
Oh, they maintain it. They come in with a rake and they bring the sand in and they buy the baseball,
Well, I
Don't
looking
get
for
old.
someone to do weed control around the playground and the ball field, because the ball field's very weedy around the edges.
Yes, yes. And he told me earlier that he did work on that.
Yeah. My question is your recommendation on what a good rate, to increase the rate for if we did some of these improvements?
I can't hear you.
I said if we did a bunch of these improvements, right?
Yeah.
What do you think a fair rate would be? Instead of $50, $200? I mean, where do you think the number
Well, I
would be?
wouldn't jump, I'd go maybe 150, 75.
Okay.
I don't know what the others get, but
I don't either.
Tilden and these other places, I don't know what they get.
And then they have use of the entire park.
Is it?
They have use of the entire park,
Right.
basically, if they
Right,
run everything.
they had the grounds a whole bit. I don't know, you guys should figure maybe, I think it would be appropriate to raise it a little bit because we are making improvements
Mhm.
for that. and-
Right, right.
It's never gonna be a money-making project, it's a
No,
service to the
it is.
community.
Yeah, it is.
It helps out. It helps out. I didn't add it up, but I don't know, I would say 25, 26, 27,000 in 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm sorry I'm staying in front of
No,
you.
that's fine, you're fine.
You
Thank
wanted to
you,
get on
thank you.
camera.
Yeah, you want to be on camera.
Oh! Hell, hi! What the heck? That's all I have.
Have a good night.
Thanks, Raj.
Roger,
Yes, sir.
I want to thank you for all the years and the service you have done.
You are welcome.
As far as all of that,
You are welcome. You are
Thank you, Raj.
welcome.
Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Thank you for that.
Looks like you guys had something in mind that have to do it next year. You're welcome.
No, we're keeping you on.
Well, like I said, I will do it for another year.
I appreciate that.
Need be, and then we can, but the cleaning,
Yeah, that's,
get somewhere.
we'll get back to you as far as rates so that you would be able to,
Yes,
for next year, be able to make sure you know what those rates would be.
yes, I might be able to find somebody, I mean, it seems like every day I find they quit. After a while.
Well, no, he was saying about the new rates, if we come up with new rates for the rental for next year.
Oh, the rate, I thought you meant the hourly rate, wage for, that, okay. I will, anybody I know, I will direct to you guys. I know nothing. I see nothing.
Thanks again.
I
Okay,
appreciate it.
all right, I gotta say hi to this young fellow over here.
All right, any other comment on that? All right, we're gonna move on to some.
He used to drive bus. Bus driver.
All right, we'll move on to solicitor, Mr. Farbiar.
So on the cement plant, I did get an email from the attorneys representing Kaufman Rush partnership. So we're in the process of getting the agreements finalized on the email was on the holding tank agreement, so there was just one minor modification because the way we had it written, it said that it said that there was an existing malfunctioning system on the property, which is not the case. So we updated that. I would think that we're going to have this for you for approval at a meeting before the end of the year. I mean, I followed up with them a couple weeks ago. They're just sort of going kind of slow. As far as the issues that Mr. Palinook posed.
You did it.
Oh, I did it?
That's perfect.
It took a year of practice. Is raised, I would imagine that you can, that Ms. Stevens, you can reach out to the developer to make sure that they're complying with the noise ordinance and the silt fence, and that would, because that shouldn't happen.
You know, I had this, and I hate to interrupt, I had asked some questions early on when we were, learning about the project, but, some big concerns was the water runoff into the stream on our property and the amount of 60 to 100 gallons a day to use from the aquifer underneath our houses, scaring the bejesus out of me that, that's a lot of water. You can run a wells dry, and I don't know if those have ever been discussed or addressed with this company.
I think it was addressed with the planning commission, but I think that, as long as the board agrees, I think it would be appropriate to raise some of these with the developer to make sure.
So, I have a question. They have an approval to do the project, correct?
They have a conditional approval. I don't really understand why they're actually doing any work out there
Okay,
right
all right,
now.
that's the part I was
Yeah.
missing.
It's not them, it's the landlord that's doing the work, trying to screen.
Those are stream people.
Everybody look at Craig.
Craig is recused on this project, so he's not voting one way or the other. So,
Okay, we didn't realize who it was, we just knew that there was.
I don't know
They're
either.
moving stuff around on the property, they're shifting, getting ready for it.
Right,
So
but they have to.
ramped right to 22, and I'm kind of,
But-
surprised at those rolls.
Yeah, they're just,
Yeah.
But they have to comply with the noise ordinance as well. So
I can have Ryan.
just have
Have
Ryan
Ryan
give
take a look.
Jameson a call, and I know Jameson will cooperate.
Okay.
Your brother-in-law, I don't know. So we'll get that addressed. The next thing, obviously a lot of my time over the last month really has been on Mountain Trail Solar. So I suppose we'll get a little bit of a reprieve now. The Hefner Road Solar Project, which is under old business, that we had the hearing on September 30th. The applicant withdrew at the last moment. So I am going to do a short opinion based on what the board essentially denied it. Granted, they requested withdraw and denied it. So we'll get that out. And then under new business, conditional use hearing for Station Pass LLC. That is scheduled for November 6th at 7 o'clock here. And
What's that one again?
Zimmerman?
that's Zimmerman, that's
Blue Heron.
Blue Heron. So it's a multifamily residential conversion. And then I would request an executive session this evening to talk to address some potential litigation. I will also mention that the board did meet in executive session to deliberate on the Mountain Trail Solar decision on
So then this is the next night.
The next night.
September 18th of this year. Another date as well, in September. Well, they did meet on September 18th to deliberate, as well as
Who's that?
August 26th. Those were the meetings for the executive session.
Oh.
So the board did meet on those dates to review and deliberate on the Mountain Trail Solar decision. And I don't believe I have anything further at this point.
All right, any other comment?
No.
All right, thank you. All right, on to old business, Hefner Road, we talked about, AMS contracts we took care of, H&K contracts we took care of, and the transmission lines we talked about. No comment on them? And we go to new business. Planning Commission appointment for an alternate. Kyle was,
Right.
approved.
The reason that I have that there is, do we want to have two alternates? Or more, you had said possibly, so, I mean, it's,
Well, I could ask Lauren, I hadn't talked to Kyle yet, and their meeting's coming up next week. So, but he is an alternate, so
okay.
I'll
then-
talk to him, I'll talk to both of them again.
Okay.
If that's fine. All right, the resolution for approval of the list of sewer enforcement officer for Kevin Bayer.
Kevin Byer, correct. In your packets, you have the resolution, which, whenever we add a new SEO, that way any of the sewage enforcement officers can assist the township in the enforcement of the on-lot management programs and any malfunctions. I'd be looking for a motion to adopt the resolution, and Mr. Long, you would have the resolution number to be filled
It'll
in.
be number 8.
All right, can someone make that motion?
I like this one.
I'll second it. All in favor, say aye. Ayes have it. And then it'll be updated again at the organization.
So after the meeting, then you can, you just need one. You execute it, yeah, at the end of the meeting, we can do that.
All right, next item, resolution MS 965, what do we have?
That's also in your packs. What this is to permit the township to go online and do the MS 965, which is the liquid fuels reporting, so that at the end of January, that report is submitted electronically. And then you get the funds in, I believe, April, is it April you get the funds?
March or April?
Yeah, so this is the process that we should be doing it electronically, but this is the start. So this gets this resolution would then be sent to PennDOT, so we can start the process to be approved to then register. I met with Ben and Craig yesterday to go over that. So there's a whole process to then get online, register, get your username, password, and then I can assist once you're online on entering all the data if there's any questions. But I gave Ben a probably inch-thick manual on how to do it, but it's got screenshots for every step, so it's pretty self-explanatory. You'll be fine, you'll be fine. So this is just the start to do all that.
Do I have a motion for that resolution?
Is that number 9?
That's number 9. I'd like to so move.
I'll second that. All in favor, say aye. Ayes have it. You need one copy of that as well?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right.
I got so excited, I was on TV, I forgot my code.
That's why we love them. All right. And we talked about the conditional use hearing for Station Pass, going on to other concerns, the county convention next week, next Thursday night. We'll talk about that at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
We're gonna go down. And the preliminary budget for next year.
My question is, of course, what do we think? Do you want me to do some numbers as far as I said this for sure. Ever since, not that it matters, but since the mid-'80s, since I've been involved in this, we never had a property tax increase in Windsor, period. But because of all of the increases in costs normally, do you think it's appropriate if you look at the income, the income that we get from property taxes is minimal. I mean, we've been so fortunate that the people who've been living here, you know, that's where our income comes from, is the earned income tax, not the property tax.
Yes, the profit, what did we take in, like $37,000 a year in property
Yeah,
taxes?
you're right, and it's just, and, you know, if we're going to have housing, we have to have good housing to good people, and that's where we have our income. Well, my question is, of course, it's just a preliminary or a tentative budget. We want to approve it officially until the December meeting. What, do we want to have some increase? You tell me what.
Well, no, we don't want an increase. But,
I know we don't want an increase, but.
But we need to look at the numbers and see where we're at. I mean, are we in the red? I mean, I don't know.
Well, we're not in the red, but of course, just like tonight, you know, the amount of money that we have been spending, you know, now, you know, we have $270,000 that came from the American Rescue Fund. Well, that's obviously not gonna come again, that kind of thing, so, you know, unbelievably, the costs of everything have skyrocketed.
What was the fire company's request tonight?
Yeah, and that's one of our major obligations, is the safety of the community. So what choice do we have other than funding those things? At least that's my opinion.
I think we gotta look at the numbers first and see what, you know, get a budget.
Yeah, what I can do is give you, you know, I can do some, you know, and just some ideas with that. So in the past, I have some paperwork that I'll draw up that we can go over and some ideas. That's all the reason. I just wanted to see what you guys would have to say.
I would also like to request an executive session to discuss personnel issues.
Okay. All right. And then if that's it, I'd like to make a motion that we pay the bills. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
I think we already signed the checks, didn't we?
I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Ayes have it.
I'll have Ryan Westner resign.